everyone, it's Mithril and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. So we have reached the end of April and the end of the monthly art challenge. First of all, I would like to say that I am so happy and proud of my progress, and I'm also very proud of everyone who has stuck with the challenge through to the end. Everyone who has started it and dropped along, I'm very proud of you too for making the effort. And I even have some art progress from someone who didn't take part in the challenge but wanted to show off their progress. We love all kinds of progress here on this channel, so if you have any kind of art progress you want to show off, send it my way and I will be happy to show it off. So for the last week of the challenge, I wanted to measure my progress in a few ways. The first thing I wanted to do was actually connect the head to the body. Drawing just portraits is all fine and dandy, but I would also like to, incorporate it into drawing bodies and full figures, and also, figures, including heads, from imagination. Up until now, I've just been using like a vague suggestion of a head for my full figures because I didn't know how to draw it. And I was excited. I used some references from Croquis Cafe, and those are the first two drawings here in this video. I am pretty happy with how they came out. I feel like I can see a lot more and understand, I guess, like the full shape of the head more than I could before, whereas in the past I was just sort of copying down the shapes as best I could. Then after that, I took another attempt at learning painting and rendering. It didn't go so well, so I sort of put that on the back burner for now. Then I did some more drawings from Croquis Cafe. And then I got into the part of the week 4 of the challenge where I am now redrawing some of the portraits that I did in the first week, so I can really have a one-to-one direct comparison of how I did before and how I'm doing now. And I feel really happy with how they were coming out. I feel like after these 4 weeks of studying, I was really able to close the gap between the art that I had in my mind and that I could see in the picture and what I could just put down in a drawing, what I could put down in paper. It's definitely not all the way there, but the degree to which that gap has closed has really been amazing to me. Then after this, I realized that I have really been neglecting my quote-unquote fun art for the past month. I feel like I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to really do all of the challenge, to spend a lot of my time improving heads and faces because I'm sort of putting myself in the spotlight a little bit here, and it wouldn't be very good juju if I didn't even follow the instructions of my own challenge. So I started to draw 2 figures from imagination, and I was really excited to do this because at this point in my art journey, this is my main goal, to be able to draw people and render them completely from imagination. And so that's what I tried out. And when I posted this on the Discord, people, namely Lila Scarlett, thank you very much, started giving me critiques and telling me what to fix or change and really pushing me to test my limits and bring it to a more finished state because I was thinking, I should just keep it as a sketch. I'm not really ready to paint yet, yada yada. But the more I did it, the more I realized that I could do it and that this is something that I've sort of been passively gathering skills for. I haven't really attempted a piece like this in a while, and so I didn't realize how much I've improved in doing these things, in picking colors perhaps, in doing shading and realizing the forms of things and stuff. Overall, I'm really happy with how it came out, and thank you to everyone who helped me bring this piece to life. I might dig up some older pieces where I attempt to do vaguely the same thing, and I guess you can judge and see whether or not I've improved since then. Then I went back to drawing more heads from imagination, and I feel like I still have a lot of questions about how this works, namely regarding the neck and how to figure out the positioning of that, figuring out exactly how far the facial plane goes up and down, etc. But I think this is huge improvement since the first week. And then on this day, on April 26th, I had a really weird off day. I don't know, like nothing was working quite right. Like I was looking at this and I was just like, I can't tell what's wrong. I just don't know. And I tried this portrait like 3 times, but it never really turned out well. Then on the next portrait, I could just feel something was wrong with the initial construction, but I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So I tried again. And from here on, I think I had a pretty successful day. But I don't know. I was sort of feeling like I lost it. I lost that touch where I felt like everything was coming out so well I'd had in the previous weeks as I was making progress. Here is another exercise that I assigned for the challenge, which is where you draw the portrait from reference and then you change something about it. Like you add an accessory or you change the angle of the head while keeping the likeness of the person. I know that a lot of people have trouble with drawing a character or I guess a person consistently, like I guess between drawings. And this was sort of my antidote for that, which is to draw a lot of the same person and still maintain their likeness. In these first few attempts, I don't know if I was very successful. Like the second one is just the first one, but backwards. I tried to make it so her head was tilting a bit up instead of down, but I don't think I changed it enough to really make a convincing effect. Then I drew some more portraits, and the one in the middle, I was thinking like, I feel like this is actually not an improvement since the last time I drew this lady. But then when I lined up all the drawings side by side, this one was so much more accurate than the one before, even though I was so much happier with the first one the first time around. So I think it's my eye improving faster than my actual drawing skill at this point. Because when I first started improving, I was like, yeah, I'm making so much progress, everything looks so much better, like it's clearly better. And I was happy. But now my observational skills have grown to the point where I can see more wrong with my drawings, even though they're better than the ones that were before. So I was happier with the ones before than I am with the ones now because there's a bigger gap between what I know is wrong with it and what I can make. I hope that made sense. Anyways, then I tried to change these portraits from imagination, and I realized that I have not been practicing like the straight on angles a lot. Like pretty much every single reference image on the Pinterest board is at a 3/4 view or greater turn away from the camera. And so it was really hard to actually try to figure this out. I was like, how does the jaw work? I don't even know. So by attempting this, I've identified another weakness, another gap in my knowledge that I need to go back and study. And this last part was really exciting to me, testing myself on my heads from imagination again. Because as you guys remember, I tried to draw a cute girl, quote unquote, in the first week, and she did not come out looking so cute. And so then I pivoted it and I was like, it's like a polite young man. But you know what? I wanted to draw a cute girl and I couldn't. So this time, I'm here like, I am going to express my intent first. I am going to draw a cute girl, and then I will use everything I have within me to make her come out. And I don't know if it was like super successful overall, but I think it's definitely an improvement. And then I did a serious woman because for some reason I can draw those better. I think it's just that all my faces and heads are really masculine, and that really lends itself to the serious witchy type women. Anyway, I think it came out pretty nicely, and it was a good capstone to the end of this journey. So overall, I'm really excited about my progress, and I feel like this really proves to myself that the more I learn to observe and construct and draw from reference and observation, the more that my drawing from imagination improves. In the past, when I was studying how to draw heads, I only worked from imagination, and the more I practiced, the more my features became symbolic and the less realistic and like based in reality they were, because I was just like, how can I make it look right? Even though I didn't even know what right looked like. But here in this instance, I've been spending an entire month just studying from pictures, trying to apply these construction frameworks, and doing as much observation as I could. And throughout the month, without working too much specifically on it, I was able to improve in my imagination drawing, which is super exciting for me. I feel like a huge part of achieving mastery in anything is figuring out things, figuring out how you tick, how you work, what works for you. And this works for me. You can read the same advice over and over in every book and watch it in every video, and every mentor can tell it to you, but until you try it out for yourself and prove to yourself whether it works or not, you won't believe it in your heart. So I know that a lot of people who will be watching this video will be like, I don't even know what they would be like, but they would be like me in the past, where I was like, okay, whatever, blah, 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 study a lot, blah, 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 practice, and you'll get better. But now that I've proven it to myself, I feel like I'm so much more willing to practice in the future to improve what I want. I feel like a big thing that I've taken away from this whole challenge is the fact that my intuition has been correct with the best way to learn. Well, maybe not the best way to learn, but a method that has worked for me, which is to stop watching so many videos, stop trying to read so many books, and really try to absorb the information before I move on. Like the instructions to watch a video, practice it, wait another day, and then watch the next video. Those are instructions for me as much as anyone else, because I have a tendency to want to skip through things quickly. I want to see everything, and I want to improve, and I want to learn so many things. And it's way too easy to feel like you're making so much progress by reading a lot and watching a lot and not doing a lot, because it feels good to watch all these instructional videos, to like read these cute deviant art tutorials on how to draw hair or how to render a hand or whatever. But in the end, without this practice and without this repetition, like maybe 1% of that even sticks in your head. And of course, it's useful to have that 1%. If you look at 1% from like a huge variety of sources, 1% is a lot. However, if you really focus and really embed it inside your head by doing the practice every day, by reinforcing the same skills using different techniques, such as how I'm applying the Loomis head in many different ways throughout this monthly art challenge. First, I am applying it directly to pictures of people, drawing the Loomis head exactly in the same angle, and then putting the person on top of it. Next, I'm trying to place it in different arbitrary angles from imagination. I don't really have any reference for what's right and wrong, so I can only try to look for the differences in my own mind. Sometimes it comes out and I'm just like, that looks okay. Sometimes it comes out and I'm like, that doesn't look right. Then I have to use my mind and think like, why doesn't it look right? Check all the proportions again. See where it's going wrong. Those are two different ways that the brain has to deal with the problem, so it's learning a more diversified skill set. And this is all from a set of videos that I spent maybe 30 minutes watching originally. And I can get dozens of hours of practice out of it and really figure out how to use it, rather than just moving on and binge watching another 3 hours worth of educational art content. And then I'll forget this entire day's worth of stuff a few weeks later. Whereas if I take the month to really cement it now, I'll never forget this stuff. This will be mine to keep forever. And then later on, I introduce this third problem of trying to construct the same Loomis head of the same person that I'm seeing in a picture, but in a different angle. This exercise has a lot in common with the previous ones, but it also comes with its own challenges. And so therefore, I have to learn even more. I also find that I tend to want to stick inside my comfort zone. Like, because of how much I've been practicing it, drawing heads in 3/4 view has become my comfort zone. And when I try to draw heads from a straight on angle, I couldn't do it. And I had to puzzle through so many things because I had not really challenged myself with this before. Like, I had to think about, oh man, I know how the jaw looks in a 3/4 angle, but how does it look when I'm looking at it head on? Drawing heads that are straight on and looking slightly up have become my comfort zone. So when I tried to draw heads looking down, I was confused and I had other questions. And then the next time I look at a reference, or I look at someone in real life and they're looking down or looking straight at me, I can start to answer those questions. it's a lot different looking at a reference and not knowing what you're looking at versus trying to draw someone running into problems and thinking, what does the eye look like in this position? What does the jaw look like in this position? How much of the nose pokes past the cheek? Then you have all these questions in your mind. And then you have slots for all this information to fit in the next time you see someone. And I feel like I've definitely felt that. Like, I'll be just looking at someone's face and I'll be like, wow, so that's what the jaw looks like when they're facing this direction. And the next time I try to draw it, it just bursts forth from within me. All in all, looking at my time tracking app over the last 30 days, I've been drawing for about an hour and 43 minutes per day. And I feel like that might be a lot to some or very little to others, but this was an amount that fit comfortably into my lifestyle, that fit comfortably into my life. And I'm really excited to take this knowledge into next month's monthly art challenge. I'm a little bit apprehensive about assigning an art challenge for next month because I'm starting work at my new job on Monday, which I'm very excited about, but I don't think I'll be able to, dedicate as much time to my art and my YouTube with figuring out new job stuff. And if you're interested in hearing about that, let me know because maybe I can start vlogging about that. I think that the next logical step from what I've been doing with Proko and portraits is to start getting into the skull and learning more about the form and structure underneath the head, because then I'll know, a lot more about how to place the eyes, how to place the nose, like how the planes of the face work and all sorts of things. And so then I was thinking maybe 2 or 3 weeks on the skull, and then we start getting into the anatomy of the eye. And if that sounds interesting to you, please come over to the Discord and join in on the monthly art challenge. I still have to write out all the exercises and assignments, but they'll be in the description below. Now let's get into the progress from the community on the Discord. So first up, we have Boogie's drawings. They've just really been on the game all the time, constantly. They've been devoting so much time to their artwork, and I feel like it really shows, especially here in this first portrait. They've fixed so many things with like the proportion and the construction and even the way that they've been blending. Like, I think it's just gorgeous. So they say, the problems I had with this week was that I realized that my heads were too narrow, like my side plane wasn't big enough. This is most obvious in the portrait drawings and even more so if you compare it to the reference photo. But I think I'm gonna learn other types of methods to draw heads. I'm thinking about trying the Asaro head. I feel like that will also make my painting better as well. Next up, we have my friend and fellow YouTuber, Liz V Art, and oh my god, look at her art. Her message is that I knew I had improved, but seeing this comparison is kind of mind-blowing. I still have a lot to learn, obviously, but I really did not expect to see this big of an improvement. This challenge has been so perfect for me and how I want to practice things. I'm totally going to be using this format for my practice in the future. I could not have done this without this challenge. So thanks, Myth, for setting this all up. I totally mean that, by the way. I feel like you have opened my eyes on what the best way to practice stuff is for me, and I'm 100% applying this to all the other practice I'm going to be doing from this point on. I am so happy that I could help you, and I am so happy that you've made all this progress, and I'm so excited to see where you're gonna go. Next up, we have Lila Scarlett, who has been helping me a lot with critiques on my work. Just look at this. I don't even know what to say, but yeah, it's gorgeous. Next, we have Peksu, who has also been working on their rendering skills. I'm really impressed with how they've sort of moved away from the fuzziness and gotten to a more hard style that has just that definition, that contrast. It's so pretty. They've also been hard at work improving their construction, and I feel like it's really paying off. Next up, we have Mood, who has been drawing robots. I'm very excited for your progress and keep it up. And finally, we have Drawval, who I feel like has been playing around with rendering and painting like me, but has also sort of pushed that aside to really focus more on construction, which is what I've been doing because it's been very confusing. But I can definitely see the ways in which their construction has improved. So very good job to her as well. Anyway, thank you all so much for following me through this monthly art challenge. Thanks especially to everyone who has participated. I'm so proud of you for your dedication, and I'm very happy for your progress. If you think my channel has been helpful or interesting, please leave a comment, like, and or subscribe so you can help get this into the recommendeds of other people who might need this information too. Stay tuned for the May monthly art challenge and maybe vlogs of starting my new job. Stay safe and healthy, and remember that talent is a myth. Now, get back to work.